Welcome to our English class. Once again, let me introduce myself. This is Dr.H.Narendra Kumar, Head Department of English, K.B.N College. In this class for today, we are going to learn a bit of vocabulary. Say conversion of words, one word substitutes, collocations, and note making. Well, let's go further. First, let us begin with conversion of words. Conversion is a process of word formation. It is a part of word formation, which is a process of a word that is assigned to a new word, class, or part of speech without any change in the form. The pivotal role in the conversion process is meaning. We need to understand that the important role of conversion is its meaning. A word that undergoes a structural change but changes grammatical categories. So here there is something that you need to understand, that a word that undergoes no structural change. So structure will never be changed, but there will be a change in grammatical category, my dear students, and therefore meaning to a degree has undergone conversion. So meaning will be undergone into conversion. This is something that we need to understand in the beginning. So for example, let me give you an example of a word. If we take a word shape, S-H-A-P, shape, the word changed from a noun. Shape, in a sense, when it is changed from a noun, to express the form of something. When it changes to a verb, that expresses how something takes a form. For example, let me make it once again. When we talk about shape, when we think shape in the form of a noun, we say it is a form to express a form of something. For example, a shape of a person, shape of a thing. Well, then when we talk about shape in the form of a verb, it expresses how something takes a form. How something takes a form. That is what we call shape in view of verb. Whereas shape in regard to noun, we talk about structure. Right, let's go further. Then when we look at conversion process in English, we need to know that English is an ever evolving language. According to a global language monitor, a new word is created every 98 minutes. For every 98 minutes, a new word is created. This is something that we need to know. Conversions are responsible for giving new meaning to existing words. So when we talk about conversion, we need to know that it gives a different meaning to an existing word. That is what we call conversion. Well, so this conversion is also called as zero derivation. Look at this. Before going to zero derivation, let me make it once again. Conversion process in English, we know that a new word is created for every 98 minutes, and this is responsible for giving new meaning to an existing word. Right, now let's look at conversion, which is also called as zero derivation in a linguistical form. So the process of conversion, it is also called as not only just zero derivation but also null derivation. So when we talk in the perspective of linguistics, in linguistics, derivation is the process of creating a new word from an existing word. So this is something that you need to understand, that a new word is created from an existing word, right? By altering it in in some way, most often by adding an affix to the word. Adding not a suffix but an affix to the word. Affix in the sense a process of suffix and prefix, right? So the phrase zero or null derivation both indicates the necessity for the process of conversion to not alter the subject or the structure of the word. This is what we call zero derivation. Well, conversion, when we talk about conversion, conversion is also sometimes called functional shift. Students, you need to understand that conversion is also called as functional shift because the change is in the function of the word, not in the form of a word, right? But in the function of a word. not necessarily the meaning. So here is when we look at an example, let us look at an example of a word called plain, P-L-A-N-A, plain, right? Which we know in noun we call plain in the sense we call it as aircraft, right? But when we wish to change it to conversion, noun to verb, it is a process by adding to, as it is evident, as I clearly said that it takes a fixation process. A fixation in the sense adding a word as a prefix or adding a word as a suffix. This is what we call a fixation. So to a word plain, which is a noun, I have added to that. So it becomes to plane, which means to smooth a wooden surface. So the function has changed. Look at that. Besides meaning, function has also changed, right? Plane in the sense we talked about aircraft, whereas to plane in the sense to smooth a wooden surface. So these two words sound the same, but their meaning is not very close to them. Am I right? So this is what. Next, when we go further, we need to think about types of conversion in language English. Let us look at types of conversion in language English. Well, conversion can be categorized into different ways, my dear students. Conversion can be categorized into different ways. For example, let us say there are few different types of conversion in language English. So one is noun to verb, which we also call it as verbification. Well, so noun to verb conversion is also called as verbification, right? So the most common form of conversion in English is noun to verb conversion. So meaning most instances of conversion or noun to, there are more. When we look at most instances, of conversion or noun to verb, which is also called as verbification. So an exchange in the a comic strip called Calvin and Hobbes, which was written in 1933 by Bill Watterson, explains the art of verbification or verbying. It is also called as verbying. In this we can see that Calvin says, I like to verb words. Hobbes says, what? Then Calvin answers, I take nouns and adjectives and use them as verbs. So this is what verbification is all about. Well, so before going through examples for noun to verb conversion, let me also help you with another form of conversion, which we call it as verb to noun conversion. So this is a less common form of conversion. That verbification is the transition from verb to noun. This is what we simply say. Then there are other conversions also, my dear students. So conversions involving other parts of speech besides verbs and nouns. Whereas we use these in not in a wider form, but we do use them in less proportion, or we don't use them frequently, but they are less common, but they do follow the same concepts. Now let me help you with some examples with regard to noun to verb conversion and verb to noun conversion also, right? So let's look at the screen. There are a couple of sentences given to help you. This person is a hater of, right, mankind. I'm sorry, coming to this types of conversion, well, we need to think about certain examples. Let me give you certain examples. Look at host. I'm using the first word called host, H-O-S-T, host. In noun, it is a person who receives or entertains another, right? For example, if you are holding a function, you have invited good number of people. We call them as guests and you will be host. This is what we call noun, right? But when we convert host to noun to verb, verbification, then it is to host, which means the act of receiving or entertaining another, right? As you receive people, we call, so that's the act of receiving or entertaining. Next, the second is verb to noun conversion. When we look at verb to noun conversion, we can say that to hope, P-O-2-H-O-P-E, hope, to hope, the act of trusting or expecting something to happen. we expect something good to happen. That is to hope. Now, let us change this verb to noun, right? When it is a noun, we say it's hope. The feeling of trust or expecting that something will happen. Next, coming to another word which is quite common. We call it as microwave. We call it as a noun, right? Microwave is a noun. A home appliance, which helps to heat our food, which helps to eat our food warm, right? Warm. So microwave, when it is converted to noun, to verb, to microwave in the sense to cook or warm food. Next, I is a noun, right? It's an organ of, we know that it is an organ that is needed to see, right? When it is converted to verb, we call it as to eye, which means to view something or someone closely or with suspicion. Well, so these are, this is a view, this is something about conversion of words. You need to understand that. In conclusion, let me help you with, before concluding conversion, let me make it very clear. Conversion is the process of changing a word from one form to that of the another form with a change of meaning, right? In this, we see that there are different types of conversion, and besides, conversion is also called as zero derivation or null derivation. It is also called as functional derivation, right? Now, when we look at types of conversion in English, we have seen that noun to verb conversion, which we call it as verbification, which is frequently being used. Secondly, we look at verb to noun conversion, which is less common, whereas there are other conversions, but they are found now and then, but not frequent, right? Let me go further into another topic, one word substitutes. Let's look at another topic called one word substitutes. Well, students, now when we look at one word substitutes, well, if I do think that some of you might be thinking that it may be good if the teacher has given some examples for other conversions also. Well, so let me before going through this, let me give some examples for that other conversions, right? Adjectives can become nouns. Let me give some example for adjective becoming noun. Green, it's a color, we know that, right? It's a color which is an adjective. When adjective is turned to green, let us say green, when it is an adjective, it is said as color. But when this green is used as a noun, let us say a space of green grass, a space of grass near the hole in golf, we know this, right? We call it as green, right? Then we can also use adverbs to nouns. Adverb, right, can become nouns even. Let us see how adverb can become a noun. Up, it's an adverb. Up, right, which means direction or position. But when we use it as up as a noun, an upward tread or in outlooking or luck, this is what, right? The ups and downs of life, as we say. So these can be stated as some examples for other conversions. Right now, let us look at one word substitutes. Right, my dear students. Looking at one word substitutes, a one word substitute is an essential topic of vocabulary. As the name suggests, questions based on this concept asks, right, when looking at this concept, questions based on this topic asks you to replace a given sentence with an appropriate word. A sentence can be replaced with an appropriate word. This is what one word substitute which means. We all know this, right? One word substitute is an important concept in the English language as it makes communication much more concise, lucid and easy. Another important thing that you need to know is one word substitutes refers to those types of questions where a sentence or a phrase is simply replaced by a word that describes the whole sentence. Now, let me give you some examples of one word substitutes. Right. So let us look at some examples. This person is a hater of mankind. As I told you, a sentence is replaced with a single word, is what we call one word substitute. To substitute a given sentence with a simple word is what we call one word substitute. You know, we have certain sayings in English, beating up the bush, right? Rather than beating up the bush, let us give it simple. Beating up the bush in the sense, you know, just, you know, we can express something in a single word, but that is elucidated, that is explained in a form of a sentence or a two, right? This is what we call beating up the bush. Rather than beating up the bush, if we just make it a single sentence, that will do. So, for example, let us look at this. The person is a hater of mankind. You know, you are supposed to talk about a particular person, you know, about a person. Then you may say, you may talk to a friend, you may say that, you know, he is a hater of mankind man. Instead of using such a sentence, we can simply say that he is just a misanthrope. That's enough. This is what we call one word substitute. A word that can substitute a sentence, a phrase. Well, that's what. Next. Her younger son has an extreme fear for dogs. So in order to say her younger son has an extreme fear of dogs, you can simply say that her younger son is a xenophobia. That's it. Next, I'm interested in the study of ancient things. Instead of saying I'm interested in study of ancient things, I'm interested in archaeology. That's it. Next, that boy keeps himself very reserved and conservative. Instead of saying that he is very reserved and conservative, we can simply say that he is an introvert. That's it. Next, she is someone who puts forth an idea that she doesn't believe. You know, in day-to-day communication, we come across a good number of people and we assess them in this manner, right? They speak, but they don't do. Rather than saying that, you know, he speaks a lot or she speaks a lot, you know, she complains a lot, or she talks much, but she does nothing. Then instead of giving such a big statement or a sentence, we can simply say that she is a hypocrite, or he is a hypocrite, or they are hypocrites. That's it. Well, so these are a few examples of one word substitutes. Now I'm going to help you with different categories of one word substitutes. One word substitutes falls under different categories. Let us see what they are. Well, so these one word substitutes can be studied under different heads, or they are in different categories, as we say. Well, look at this. So one, study related. There are one word substitutes which are study related. There are one word substitutes which talks about types of fear. Then there are one word substitutes which helps us to, you know, learn about terms related, right? Then groups and collections. For example, group of sheep we call as herd or cattle, right? We know this cattle, flock, right? Or you know, group of lines, which we call it as pride, such things. Next, likes and dislikes. Well, then government, political, you know, one word substitutes that talks about government's anarchy, you know, then political systems related to this. Well, then people, persons, types of people, their personalities, whatnot. Then there are one word substitutes which talks about profession, which talks about occupation of a person. There are one word substitutes related to science and research. There are n number of one words related to killing, death related. Killing of one's mother is matricide. Killing of a whole race, you know, we use right? Regicide, right? Genocide. There are n number of terms of such. Well, and then sound, events, and sports. Well, so these are different categories where we can learn one word substitutes. So there are around 11 categories of one word substitutes which helps us to develop our vocabulary a lot, my dear students. If you are thorough with at least few of these, you know, your talk will be wonderful. Your talk will be appropriate, right? You will never consume good amount of time. You will be apt. People will be very much happy to talk to you. They will be very much comfortable to communicate with you. Well, this is something that you are supposed to pay concentration upon. Well, now let's move with another topic called collocation. Right, let's look at collocations. This is uh, another topic that helps to equip with vocabulary, that leads us towards vocabulary. Right, a collocation is a group of two or more words that are almost always put together to create a specific meaning. Using a different combination of words sounds unnatural or awkward. Many a times, as we are, as we are not entirely foreigners to language English, but we know that language English is not our mother tongue, it is other tongue. So as we learn English to communicate, we need to be cautious, we need to be particular while learning this, because there are cases and there are occasions where you might have come across good number of people, using words which sounds unnatural and which sounds awkward, right? The reason is they are not good at their collocation, in the sense usage of words in appropriate manner. So this is what a collocation is: a group of two or more words that are almost always put together to create a specific meaning. For example, let us see. Look, to make a mistake, we need to say that, he made a mistake. I may make a mistake, but not to do a mistake. He has done a mistake. No, he made a mistake. This is what we need to do. Next, sometimes we use a big decision, right? But not, right? Big decision is apt, but not large decision. Sometimes, right? Large, not that, a big decision. Next, to commit crime, we come across people who say, he performed a crime. No. Performing a show, when you perform something, performing if you are a mimicry artist, you perform. Well, if you are what we say that, when we go for a circus, they perform. You come across clowns, they perform. An actor acts, it's a performance, right? But when talking about crime, it is not he performed a crime, but it is to commit a crime. So this is what we call collocation, using a word in appropriate context. Now, let's look at some more examples in a context where Harish used the following collocations incorrectly. Look at the collocation. Most enormous is a collocation. The most enormous city. The correct collocation is the largest city. He used, instead of using largest city, he said most enormous city. Then, business region. A more common collocation would be business center. This is true. Hey, where have you been? I have been to business region. No. That's wrong. I have been to business center, or I have been to a financial hub. We call certain places as, business centers. For example, when we talk about Vijayawda, right? Entire complex is a business center, right? But it is not a business region, right? Then, sometimes we say tall rise. The correct collocation is high rise, rather than tall rise. Then shopping in the window, window shopping. Sometimes people come across these terms from others. They listen correctly, but they fail to use them correctly. Shopping in the window, but it is a window shopping would be the right collocation. Let us see. Collocation in English language can follow several structures. There are a good number of structures in collocation in English. Adjective plus noun. For example, he gave me some excellent advice. Next, noun plus verb. The disease spread before anything could be done to prevent it. Next, verb plus noun, collocation. I have always tried to follow my father's advice. Look at that. Follow, advice is a noun, follow is verb. So, verb plus noun, collocation. Next, verb plus adverb, collocation is consider the proper proposal carefully before you make a decision. Next, adverb plus adjective. Example, an ability to speak Japanese is highly desirable for this job. Next, noun plus noun. Example, the coach pushes the player to perform beyond their comfort zone. This is a noun plus noun collocation. Right. Then look at, there is another category also. For a single word, there can be more than one collocation also. For a single word, there can be good number of collocations also. Let's take the word rain as an example. There was heavy rain last night. Heavy rain. We are talking about a word called rain. So it can be used. There was heavy rain, adjective plus noun. At sunset, rain began to pour down. Rain, noun plus. It rained non-stop all night. Verb plus adverb. A few drops of rain had fallen. Look at this. A few drops of rain had fallen. Noun plus noun. So this is how collocations helps us. So my dear students, it is a keen advice for you. If you can concentrate and if you can learn the proper usage of collocation, your language will be sonorous. Well, shall we move for another topic? Yeah. Let us conclude with another topic. Say note making. Right. Let's see what note making is all about. Note making is not just about writing down everything you hear or read. Then what is note making? Note making is a process of reviewing. It's a process to review, connecting and synthesizing ideas from your lectures or reading article or your reading material. Well, so making notes helps you. You'll be benefited by in different ways. If you if you learn the art of making notes, you can stay active and engage during your lectures. It makes you active. It proves that you are engaged during your lecture. Next, reading and revision, understanding what you are learning and clarifying your thinking. This is the way that will be helped by means of note making. Let us see. All good notes should contain source information. When you make notes, it should contain source information, that is title, author, date, etc. Headings to help you identify the key topics. This is true, right? We need to come with headings. And besides, we need to understand that heading, it clearly helps a reader to identify what the topic is all about, so that he can go through that piece of work or he can afford the book. Right? Next, we need to be conscious about key points, examples, names, new ideas. Next, triggers to make your notes more memorable, such as mnemonics, color, or drawings. This is what, when you make notes, it's a habit of few of your students to give arrow marks, to use hashtag, right? Yeah, that's what. Further reading and ideas to follow up later. These are certain things that a good note should continue or contain, right? Well, now let me give you an example of the making notes, right? I'll give you a paragraph and we'll learn how to make a note from the paragraph. Let's see. The Industrial Revolution. This paragraph talks about Industrial Revolution. This is the title. Well, this is how. Let us see. The Industrial Revolution, which began in the late 18th century, marked a significant shift in economic and social structures. It was characterized by the transition from agrarian and handcraft based economics to industrial and machine based manufacturing. Key innovations during this period included the steam engine, textile machinery, and the development of iron and steel production. The Industrial Revolution has profound effect on society, leading to urbanization, the rise of factory-based products, and changes in labor prices. Right. While it fueled economic growth and technological advancements, it also brought about social challenges such as poor working conditions and labor exploitation. So this is a paragraph. So have a look at the paragraph for a while. Right. And then we'll learn how to make a note from this paragraph that you read. Let us see. So look, there are around 5 different points I have given for your help. Well, so the above paragraph, the paragraph that we have seen can be structured, or you can make it for your benefit. You can divide it into 5 different files. Look, Industrial Revolution began late 18th century shift from agrarian to economic to industrial economics. Then, what are the innovations? Steam engine, textile machinery, iron and steel production. What are the effects of this industrial revolution? Urbanization and factory-based production, changes in labor practices. What is the impact? Economic growth and technological advancement or the impact. Social challenges, poor working conditions, labor exploitations. These are right certain things. Then coming to summary or summarizing this. Industrial revolution marked economic and social shift. Innovations like steam engine, fueled growth, urbanization and labor changes, but challenges in working conditions emerge. So this is how a note, a piece of text or a story that can be summarized. Right? When you read a piece of paragraph or when you read a text, to benefit you, to help you at time of examination, it's easy to make a simple note from that paragraph. So try this, reading a paragraph from your textbook. Try this by reading a paragraph from your textbook, or try this by reading a story or extracting a passage from one of your texts. Well, that will be very easy for you to cope up with note making, because note making is such a wonderful skill that saves your time, and that helps you to remember the topics that you heard from your teacher. Well, so this is how, this is what we have learned for today. We have learned, there are 4 different elements that we have learned for today. We have been through conversions, conversion of words in English. Secondly, we have been through one word substitutes. And the third, we have learned collocation. And fourth, we have been through note making. With this, I would like to conclude the class, my dear students. Thank you for being with me. Thank you. Hope you have, hope you will derive help. Hope you will be helped by this lecture. Thank you. For any queries, you can share your ideas. Thank you very much, my dear students.